Welcome to the Judgment Free Zone. You've downloaded the Alcohol Free Marriage Podcast, episode 32 for December 12th, 2022.
Now adjust the volume control so that the sound can be heard in all parts of the room.
Recorded live from the cornfields of Central Illinois, you're listening to the Alcohol Free Marriage Podcast with Matt and Amy. Come and learn and share a journey with two former craft beer enthusiasts who went from daily drinkers to teetotalers and basically never lost their love for their life together.
Hey, a freak show!
Hello there, children. Welcome back to your weekly freak show that is the Alcohol Free Marriage Podcast. I am apparently Matt and sexy, and that is Coach Amy. How are you, my love?
I'm really good.
And the beauty of show notes that are running in Google Docs, and she updated it live while I was doing an intro, says, you sexy. So, for all you listeners at home.
Trying to keep the romance alive,
If
people.
you're on the YouTubes, you can see I am, in fact, sexy. Maybe to a certain generation, but anywho, moving on. How are you, Coach
some
Amy?
people think you look like, what, Pitbull?
Yeah, I was Rick Astley when I was 16.
Yeah, and then you got rid of
then
that.
you lose all your
put on
hair
this.
and put on some sunglasses. All redheads look the same. All bald guys look the same.
Gotta get you to the gym so we can build up some muscle.
So I get the physique of Red Bull. Is that what you're going for? Or
Not
Pitbull?
Red Bull.
That's what I'm Red Boy, and Pitbull becomes Red Bull. Speaking of sponsorships,
That's
maybe we
hilarious.
should. Anywho, you know, I'm a delicate flower right now, Coach Amy, because I am turning 49 this week.
I know it.
So
This is actually, everybody, I want to just let you know, this is like, your birthday is probably one of my favorite days of the year, because then I no longer am 5.5 years older.
no, you're no longer 6 years older. You're
6
only
years
5
older. I'm 5 years older. So 6 months of the year.
Yes.
At least it's only a 5 year.
Which our daughter loves to point out that, well, how old are you when Dad was this age? We're like, illegal.
Yeah. It's
When I was in
gross.
7th grade, you were in college.
And let's just make sure that everybody knows you
We
were
did not.
like 23.
Yes. You were still the Cougar Rob in the cradle.
I was,
but
which at the time,
it was at
and
least
still
completely-
now, it's not that way now, because
No,
now
now
we're
we're
just
two
old.
old
But it was kind of cool.
Yeah. Now we're just
I used to call you the boy.
Yes. I'm still the boy. I'm just the old boy. Old man boy. Anyway.
Well, yeah. So get out there, December 14th, everybody.
Yes.
And
I'm taking the day off of work, too.
are you really?
I
Spread
get a celebration
love.
day once a year. I
Spread the love. Just send the love. Send the love to Matt,
It's a regular-
everybody.
regular Band-Aids, We Are the World kind of thing. Right?
Yeah, everybody's gonna shower. You know what? That's the one thing about Facebook I do enjoy is that, it pops up your birthday and everybody like jumps on and it's kind of like, oh, it's their birthday.
You have some people you know better than other people, because if you really know them, it's like, hope you have a great birthday, Matt, or something like that. Otherwise, it's like, happy birthday, which Facebook just prompts you. Want to wish them happy birthday? Click here.
I add in my own emojis.
I try to, too.
My own emojis,
I don't
not
use
the
emojis,
pre ones that pop up. I will add in my own emojis. But you're right. But I still feel like, you know what? I'm telling this person because you know what? I love seeing like
That's true.
300 people
Because
wished you a happy
I just-
birthday. How much better is that than cards?
Right. Well, I just looked on Facebook this morning. There were 4 people having birthdays. I'm like, I really don't know you, so I'm not even going to tell you happy birthday. So
But if I still sell them happy birthday,
I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, it just kind of depends too. I
Same.
shouldn't say I always do, because sometimes I'm like, I will say this. Sometimes I miss it. I don't know.
I just
know.
add a widget to my new phone that tells me how many birthdays are of my friends on Facebook. I just tap it and it comes up. Because since the app updated years ago, I always lost track of where it is. Now it just shows me how many people have birthdays. I tap it. and
Oh
I
my
know.
gosh! No, I would take that.
See, you too can do that.
Really,
You can. It's an
Really?
iOS feature, not an iPhone 14 feature.
I can do that.
Well, okay. Can Amy do that? That's a whole nother question.
Hey, but let's just say this: I'm not. My skills are
Not being close to the microphone.
not being close to the microphone. But when it comes to technology, most of the time I know just enough to be dangerous
Yes.
and to mess things up.
You know enough to know it can do it, but not know how to do it. But to
Yeah.
break it, to try to do it.
Or I've done it. Like I went through, figured it all out, did it. Then I have to go back in and get incredibly frustrated because I'm like, I did this once and now I don't remember
But the good
how.
news is I'm not drinking, so I can tolerate and handle the challenge. I'm there for the challenge, Amy. Or maybe if I was drinking, make it easier. I don't know, but I'm guessing not. We have an awesome interview coming up, so that's why we need to hustle along here, Coach. You and Suzanne's new program coming up.
Yes.
What is it called?
It's called the Alcohol-Free Spirit Experiment. It is a 6-week program where we are going to take you through a 30-day challenge in there of taking a break from alcohol. We are doing this in January 8th. We are giving people that extra week because I know, like many of you, you actually make your New Year's resolutions and do all of that stuff actually that first week of January. You don't have it done before January.
No.
And you wake up on January 2nd this year and you'll be like, oh, I should do that. So we are so excited. We have this 6-week program. We want to invite you to check it out and invite a friend. The details are going to be shared in the interview. So
there'll be a few details at the alcohol-free... No. What's it called again? The
Alcohol-Free Spirit.
The alcoholfreespirit.com.
Yes.
We'll have some basic information if you want to visit that.
Yes. Not quite yet.
It will by the time this is out. I'll at least point to something.
Ooh, you're going to point to something.
Point to something. It may not be the best
now
of all.
Now that is exciting.
Yes. So it's getting there, but you can sign up. You're going to have a discount. You guys talk about all in the interviews.
Yep,
so
we do.
We'll
and
save
so
the
we're
surprises.
really, really excited about it.
Yes. Listen for the discount code, kids.
It's a beta program. So
in other words, you're the first ones trying it.
You're the first ones trying it. You're actually getting really the best pricing.
It's actually... Not that I know a ton about the pricing of these, but from what I've seen in the world, it's a really good price. Yes.
Yeah. So we are excited about it, and like I said, we were just really excited about it. We will talk about it.
We will
in the interview.
In the meantime, what is your drink of the week? Do you even know what is in your drink of the week? What are you having? Tell us, Amy.
I'm having a
Bloody
Bloody Mary, but it's an A gin.
So we're doing 2. They're both made
2
with the Zing Zang,
which everybody. We know that these are more expensive when you do them.
You're doing the individual cans.
But in the long run, like for us, if you're only wanting to have like a drink or 2.
Because we would make 2 Bloody Marys and throw like more than half a bottle away because we wouldn't get back to it in time. So actually it's easier.
Yeah. And
so or if you just want one,
it probably does save money because you're...
For us, we're not pouring half a bottle out.
Yeah.
Yours is Zing Zang, along with the Ritual Zero Proof Gin Alternative, which is a favorite of ours.
Yep.
Mine, Bloody Mary as well. Same Zing Zang, but I am using, is it Lyres or Lyres? I think it's Lyres.
I think it's Lyres.
Lyres, which is all over the place. Really good mixers. Lyres Dry London Spirit, which is basically like a gin alternative as well. So picked a couple of those out of my vast selection of wannabe gins that I own.
Yeah, this is good. And I like to make mine like a salad. So I have olives and there's some garlic in it and the celery. If I
never understood the celery because it makes it really hard to drink. You always
I think
have
it's
this,
a stir
branch in your
stick.
face. Yeah, but then you have a branch in your face when you try and drink.
Well, yeah. But I also like to have like the cherry tomatoes. I like mine to be a salad.
I could have zhuzhed it up a little bit more. I was a little lazy on these.
Usually but it has the celery salt.
But usually I throw in like the A1 and the Worcestershire and a little pepper. And
but this is really good.
I didn't bougie these up quite as much.
I think it's because of the Zing Zang.
Yeah, these are just quick and easy, down and dirty. But they work. They taste great. I don't think I've had one of these in a while, so... It's a fun go-to. And really, you know what?
Because remember, you didn't want to have them when we decorated.
By the time most people bougie up a Bloody Mary with all the spices and flavor, you don't really taste the alcohol anyway, so...
That is true. And I really... Because when we were drinking, I did like a gin Bloody Mary, which was so weird because I hated gin.
So weird.
So really what I really liked was the buzz.
There you go.
Yeah. So
sorry.
That dopamine hit.
That dopamine. Well, now your
but
dopamine
now,
is... Now it's no, what's in tomatoes? Not pectin.
I
don't know how to look that up. There's somebody yelling
lipozine?
Lipozine? That sounds like a topical ointment. There's somebody yelling at their headphones right now. We'll
put it in the show notes. We'll look it up. because we clearly are not going to remember and take up way too much time on this.
No.
And
Amy,
there we go. A dog's barking.
there you go. In the meantime, Amy, tell us about our interview with Suzanne.
We today are interviewing a dear friend of mine and a fellow This Naked Mind coach, Suzanne Nissen. Suzanne and her husband, John, live in Phoenix, Arizona. They have created a blended family of 5 children, and they have 5 grandchildren. And I'll just say that I love the fact what Suzanne's grandkids call her. Sugar. That is awesome. Suzanne is retired from her career as a dental hygienist, and when she gained freedom from alcohol, she decided to help women by becoming a life coach, to help women become free from alcohol. And her business is called Clean Slate Coaching, and we are so happy to bring you this interview today with Suzanne. Well, we want to welcome to the Alcohol Free Marriage Podcast my friend and fellow This Naked Mind coach, Suzanne Nissen. And we're so happy and thankful that you decided to join us today to talk about your story and how our lives have been, become connected. And now we're such good friends, and we're doing something in January together that we're really excited to talk about. So, all right, Suzanne, let's get started. Why don't you tell us where you're from, a little bit about yourself, your family, and what you like to do for fun?
All right. Those are some good questions. Thank you, Matt and Amy, for having me on. This is quite an honor. And yes, I am excited to be on your official podcast. And it's been such a joy to work with you. So I live in beautiful Arizona, especially beautiful this time of year. And my husband and I have a blended family of 5 kids and soon to be 5 grandchildren. And we, for fun, my loves of my life is, faith and family. I love spending time with my grandchildren. And fortunately, I have 3 that live here very close. And there's nothing like sparking, a lot of activity and fun of being around the grandkids. I have 2 dogs that I love to hike with and run with. My dogs and I got up this morning and bright and early with headlamps on, and we went for a run. So I definitely like training for marathons and running. That's a joy. I have a love for reading and always digging into new certifications and books and knowledge, and just forever learner. So that pretty much wraps me up for sure. Volunteering. I've been able to volunteer in Africa and Mexico through dentistry. That's my 30 years as a dental hygienist. So definitely volunteering and serving the community. So yeah, that pretty much wraps me up.
Well, that is awesome. I did not know that you had, I don't think I'd known you had gone to different countries. Was that with missions then?
Yeah. So I've gotten to go to Africa twice, and both were for mission trips. But one of them, John, my husband, and I were able to not only meet children that we've adopted, but also climb Kilimanjaro. So that was a wonderful experience. And
holy cow!
And yeah, go and just meet face to face in the village with the children that we've adopted and write letters to for all the years. And then in Mexico, I'm part of a group called the Flying Samaritans, and we get to go down there and serve. It's medical and dental. So we take little small planes and go over to very small villages in Mexico and serve the community. And I just absolutely love that. Yeah.
Hey, we did the Kilimanjaro ride at Disney. I mean, it's totally the same thing. Come on now.
I'm sure you saw the Yeti when you were there too.
That's funny. I am a little bit of a thrill seeker. I mean, I've, skydived and done that kind of thing. So yeah, I would go on the fun rides for sure at Disney. Maybe not the teacups, that I don't like getting sick.
No,
there you go.
Hard pass on
Oh yeah. I mean, that's definitely Matt. No teacups. Couldn't get anybody on our recent trip to go on the teacups with me, but we did some other stuff. Well, let's just jump in. Why don't you, tell us a little bit about, I always call it my drinking career, but really your story of addiction to freedom. And you can just, tell us whatever you would like to on this.
Okay. All right. So, where shall I begin? I grew up in a Christian home, and I would say I had a mixed interpretation of alcohol. Definitely the first gulp, may I say, of alcohol is when I was 7. It was a blistering hot summer day in Arizona, and there was a glass filled with ice that I thought was water. And I took a swig of that thinking it was water, and I was deceived, found out that it was some horrible hard liquor. So that was my first taste of alcohol. Did not like the taste. Fast forward to, I would say 15 in high school, fitting in with the cool kids, had a friend whose mother, I was hanging out with her all the time, and her mother had so many DUIs. We would go pick her up at bars in the middle of the night before we could even drive. And we had full access to all of the alcohol there, and would experiment. I was always getting sick. I had an eating disorder, so mixing, food deprivation with alcohol was never a good fit. I actually had gone to a party at 15, a house party. I just kind of arrived, but the police had raided the party, and I was picked up and put in the back of a police car, and found out that there are no doorknobs to get out of a police car once you're in one. And I was not arrested, but just paraded around kind of at a Circle K where all the kids were hanging out as setting an example. Had to do community service, but silver lining in that is I still love to serve. That's one of my best medicines. So that was, just those early on years. I had a boyfriend at 16, and he was already in college. And then I just started sneaking out and going to all of the college, like fraternity parties and everything at that young age. And I would say that many of my outward behaviors was an internal storm that was going on within me, and definitely not the time to talk about, a high test score on adverse childhood experiences, though like sexual abuse and trauma was something that I was always trying to shove down and not deal with. And just goes to show that alarm or these experiences can just kind of keep you sick or stuck for a very long time. But going back with that boyfriend, I ended up moving high schools at 16 and graduated at 17, and then became pregnant at 17 and had my first child at 18. And that boyfriend had signed abandonment papers. And so I had a little precious preemie baby 2 weeks after I turned 18 years old, and alcohol was goodbye. And my focus was just on raising a child. So that was, that was through my 20s. I had gotten married, and we had, my husband and I had 2 kids, and I was still able to, work during the day and go to school at night and finish my college degrees. But really during my 20s, my focus was on keeping the peace, being a young wife and mother. And so I didn't drink. And I would say that my, I guess I would call it kind of my sanity savior in my 20s was a pair of running shoes. It was inexpensive and cheap, and I could go out and run. And that was my outlet during my 20s. And At 30, I had received one of those 3 a.m. wake up calls. My father, who was a dentist, and my mother were in a rollover accident. And I worked for my father as a dental hygienist. And he became a quadriplegic. And so for 2 years, it was very trying 2 years. And he had passed away after 2 years. And so at that stage of the game, I truly never even cried at his funeral. I just never showed emotions. I could care and love on everybody else, but was not really in touch with my own feelings. So I at that time, I mean, I not even crying at his funeral. I made all the decisions that you're not supposed to make after a loss. I went through a devastating divorce. I moved twice and got remarried, had to change jobs all within a year. And so my 30s, my coping mechanisms was still that pair of running shoes, but I also had bulimia. And I also in my 30s really rarely drank, but I just wasn't, I had a full life. Everything was great on the outside, but I was missing a piece. And at 41, my second marriage dissolved, and I just knew that moment when my kids were all gone. I was so used to feeling the joy of a full house, and they were all at activities. And I know I had gone out with a girlfriend, and I came home alone, and it was the first time that I ever had a drink of wine by myself. Like I poured myself a glass of wine, and just that feeling kind of coming through me. And it was like, I look back now, and what a sneaky little slippery thing that I started to slide down at that moment. And I was using it just to kind of fill that void of that loneliness, that emptiness, and just kind of, I would still go into churches. Amy and I have talked about, you go in on a Sunday morning just to give and to receive and to fill your cup. But I would go in where I felt like a suitcase of my sins and my wrongdoings and the guilt of having one too many glasses of wine the night before. And I really traded the eating disorder and then the red wine became my new scarlet letter, I should say, or just, that new thing I would kind of use it as that, balm on and the Band-Aids on my bullet wounds, so to speak, during that period of time.
And I want to ask a question on that. And I know you suffered from, bulimia. And how did that, I'm assuming, did you go through therapy to examine that? Or is it something that you just like literally traded? I'm no longer going to abuse myself with this, and I'm going to now pick up a glass of wine.
Right. So I had, when I was going through the divorce, like we were required to go to a therapist, and I had gone in and went in on my own, and I had never confessed that that's what I was doing. And for a period of time. And then I did finally tell them, and they wanted to put me on medications and, send me to a different psychiatrist, but I would never, ever fully share all of me. I just kept all of that darkness so locked away that no fault of the therapist, I just wasn't in a place to be able to share anything. So yes, I did go, and they, it was recommended that I get on medication, and I filled a prescription and wouldn't take it. And I was darned and determined that I was going to overcome this. And so that's why I can see how wine kind of slipped in, because it took away some of that, anxiousness and that feeling to do it. And then when I met my now husband, when I finally met Mr. Right, I was in a better place to be able to, one, say goodbye to all of the things that I was using to be able to kind of numb or run or hide from things that I never had dealt with. So yes, I saw somebody. Did it work at that time? No, because I just don't think I was in the place for it to be,
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but yeah, when I, had met John, I could see how I went from, a take it to leave it, a drinking, and even, even the difference from training for marathons or training for things like that, of when I didn't use alcohol, to where I would start to come home from training runs or activities and stuff like that. And somewhere along the line, I read that like either a beer, which I was never a beer drinker, or a hard lemonade was like the perfect, carb fuel, refueling after, a long training run, and how foolish that was, because there's no truth to that. But I could see how the difference was that, in just that short period of time, the patterns and things that I was starting to use and just abuse the alcohol. So yeah, and it was, like I said, definitely a slippery slope. I mean, I went from, maybe on our date nights, and then it intertwined to every night, so quickly. For our relationship, it was, with the vacations, all of the entertaining. We have a wine like cellar room within our home. And I just knew that voice and that cognitive dissonance that I was feeling, it was time to make a change. So in 2019, I saw the social media ads. My privacy was so important to me. I was afraid to just take that step, but I did. I think around the same time as you did, Amy, in March of 2020. We're like twinsies that way.
Yeah, right.
And
I was right after you.
Oh, I am so grateful. And it wasn't that it was not challenging in the beginning, but the amount of joy and peace, and just literally like the scales coming off of my eyes, that I could finally be able to see everything in such a beautiful light, and even be able to bring things out into the light that I had never been able to deal with before. And in the amount of the people that I've met within the community, thank goodness for the people around the world, and the special friendships and bonds that we've had. So yeah, I'm so very grateful. And it has made such a powerful difference, not only in my lives, but just be able to make a difference as such a ripple effect in those that I love. And my husband still drinks. And though we've been able to recalibrate our relationship, we've found other things that are our values, and where we find common ground, that we can do other fun things together, like cooking together when our kitchen remodel is done, or like spending time with the grandkids, or, training for different activities and stuff like that. So, we're just, life is very full.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I want to ask you, because I know for me, we've all had these like pivotal moments, because we're definitely gray area drinkers. We're on that spectrum. And is there a key moment where you can relate, where you were like, I've got, like almost like, I mean, honestly, that God moment, that come to Jesus moment, where you're just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
Well, I did. And I had a rock bottom in a rocking chair, of all things. And you can't see it now, but I inherited this crickety old rocking chair that creaks like my bones. And it was from my grandmother that rocked me, that my mother, was just one of those. And I was rocking one of my sweet grandbabies. And this is many, many years ago. And I had a wine glass, and I literally like rocked away from my wine glass, and I'm trying to disrupt this precious moment with this child because I am staring and looking at something that I wanted more. And I just had this feeling that just washed over me. And I am like, no, this is, and I don't know if you want to call it like a generational trauma or awakening, but it brought me back to my grandmother that had rocked me in that chair. And I loved her dearly. She was a sweet woman from Sweden. And, but I do not remember a childhood memory of her not smelling of alcohol. And she would hide her wine bottles behind shower curtains and underneath counters and all of these things. And I didn't want my legacy to be that. I didn't want my grandchildren to remember me for that. And so at that moment, I thought, no more. This is like a sign from heaven that she's telling me that you were made for something more, and these children deserve something more. And so I stopped. That's when I decided, and I am so grateful for that moment. And I do remember even when the oldest, who's now 6, we were in Costco, and he looked at the wine aisle, and my grandchildren call me Sugar and my husband Papa. So he said, that's Sugar and Papa's drinks. And I'm like, oh, so that was then. And now I'm even the grandchildren are not labeling me as, those are my drinks down the wine aisle at Costco. So yes, that was definitely that awakening moment. And I knew that because of my nature, even though, yes, if you look at the alcohol use spectrum disorder, I was starting to hide things. I mean, I would put, wine in like a coffee cup and hide it behind a coffee pot. Why? I'm in my own home. Or I would stop to make sure I had some on the way home and throw it out in, the garbage thing down the street so nobody could see it. It was like this odd behavior of that shame and hiding. And it's just the best, most beautiful, freeing feeling. And that's part of what you get so much more from just removing the alcohol. It's starting to bring everything out into that healing light. And I believe that people, when they are cherished and treated with tenderness, and that tenderness and strength that they can coexist, but that's when people truly change, definitely through that grace and compassion. But I was also starting to be able to give it to myself, and you could just show up so much better for everybody else.
I think your story is intriguing because a lot of the stories and a lot of people we talk to, it's a very linear progression, right? Like I started in high school, then it got a little worse and then a little worse, and
yeah.
Yours was sort of flat and kind of quote unquote normal, I guess, and then kind of had this quick upward trajectory, which I think kind of speaks to it's never too late to quit, but it's also never too late to start. So just because I'm 30-some years old, I can't develop a problem now, right?
Right.
But you can start going bad later in life, and you can always get better away from it later in life too. So.
Yeah, I think that is true because so many people, and I've obviously you and I, Suzanne, are in this, so we hear all these stories, and so I have heard similar stories to yours when women do pick up that glass later, or that there's been that little shift. Like for you, there was a shift, and you knew there was a shift.
Oh yeah.
And for me, what I find really interesting is yours also happened in your 40s. You were in that transition ages of your life. Your kids are leaving. And for me, it was again in my 40s, and it was this transition period of my kids didn't need me as much, but they needed me enough. I'm doing something that I'm not everything felt off.
Yeah.
Everything felt off. You didn't know quite what to do. And all of a sudden there was this magical elixir that
Yes.
would come in. And it was, and I remember, there's just those things where it's like, I remember a very vivid moment of, being in a stressful scenario, coming home with Matt, and, this was how I was viewing a situation that wasn't necessary. It was a story I created in my head.
Yeah.
From the anxiety and all the different things that we hold. And I knew what would make me feel better. And I remember going, I can't wait to get my glass of wine. And then that I had that other thought, what did you just say?
Yeah.
But I didn't want to, I was like, oh, no, we don't need to hear you. I know that I want this. And so I'm going to have it. And that I remember that vividly changing that whole perspective. And it was so, now looking back on it, it's kind of this little, like you said, it's just so seductive and sneaky. And it just, and again, like you, and you and I have talked about this, being in service. I mean, and at the time when I was doing this, when it really changed, I was in the choir. How horrible is it to go hungover and sing in front of the church, hungover, and times when you're thinking, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm up here. Those types of things. And we just interviewed another sober sis, and we're going to be featuring her, the author of Intoxicating Lies, which is going to be coming out in January. And it's Meg Geiswhite. And her and I were having this conversation where that line, that connection between us, our spirit and God, how it became corroded. So it was still there, but it was corroded. It was like, okay, it's like, okay, I'm here. And then I have one foot in one world and one foot one foot in my faith and one foot in the world.
Yes. And with that, I remember through this experience in the coaching program and the certification, just on my own, it wasn't something that was recommended, but I sat down just to write literally like a timeline of just highs and low points in your life, right? And I was able to look at the timeline and knowing of, the things that I might have done or the things that might have been done to me, but where my belief and where God showed up in my life. And yes, I was getting off course for certain, but where he was all the way, and to see the blessings and the miracles that showed up all the way through my life, being able to write that down, and to knowing that having that gift of struggle has really shown me that we are more resilient. And I can say we, because I believe all of us are more resilient than we think we are, and that we can overcome and undergo more hardships. And I was so afraid of feeling emotions, right? And I would label some emotions of like, anger or this or that as being wrong. But now that I've like cleaned my slate, as I say, I realize that it's not feeling emotions that can be so damaging for you, right? And that I have just found so much more peace and having, like, I believe God's light shining through all of my broken places than I ever did in me trying to be perfect or pretend, or that falsity that I was showing on the outside, right? So bringing it all in, this is what you get. Not perfect, but certainly, trying to move in the right direction, and being able to come alongside others, and to be able to have them see that light as well is just such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I agree.
That closeness, as we both talked about.
And I think the big thing too for you and I, what has been so exciting is we met each other basically a year later. We both,
Mhm.
you started in 2020 like I did. A
Mhm.
year later, we decide to sign up for the certification program. So but
Yeah.
first we had that tie through Sober Sis. So we knew that we wanted that spiritual connection.
Yeah.
We sign up for This Naked Mind. We go through that. We start to have this connection. I remember having some struggles of my own and you calling me, like, because we had somehow exchanged phone numbers for
Yeah.
something else. And you were like, just reached out one day because you knew I needed somebody. And it was like, oh my gosh, I've got a friend for life here already. I
Yeah.
mean, it was one of those weird connections that
Yeah.
it was just so great. And we've both worked through like that certification program was not hard, was not easy.
No. Yeah.
Um, and we got through it. And then starting or trying to start our businesses, you're crazy woman because you're like doing another certification at the same time. That when we were going through this, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then trying to launch a business while you're not yet retired from
Yes.
your dental hygienist
Yes.
position. I'm like, oh my
Yes.
gosh. I mean, so much going on. And then you retired. Somehow we both kept coming together going, we need to do something to reach
Yeah.
women who are like us, who are sitting in worship on Sundays wanting to
Mhm.
do this. And so I don't know how we finally said, let's just do this.
Yeah. Let's do it.
And so we're doing something.
Yeah. I'm excited
What are you
about
doing?
it.
Matt, you know all about what we're doing.
Well,
Poor
I know you're
Matt's,
doing a lot.
poor
Matt,
Matt.
thank you for your support.
Yes,
I'll just get a little token line in the credits. How
put
about
that
that?
in there. We'll give like little.
Oh, we've had some giggles. I wish I was around to hug you to say thank you, Amy.
Well, here for the listeners, here's what you have. You have two very talented ladies who are great at coaching and know their content and know what to tell people, know how to talk to people, and are passionate, but aren't really good at technology.
Really?
I don't know
What
how
gave you that
that.
idea?
We want to do this. Okay, go ahead. I don't know how. Well, you have a problem or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But you have to admit, we have, I mean, limped our way there. We are getting there. We're
I
putting
Yes.
developed a limp on the way
We
there.
will be
We're
crossing
developing
the
that
finish
limp.
line.
I haven't started drinking again, so it must be okay.
No,
That is not the goal to drive you over the edge.
no.
But what I wanted to do is we both had this desire and this passion to help other Christian women who are in that transition phase of life and
Yeah.
really the early 40s to we were just talking to another fellow coach who she's our age.
Yeah.
And she has a 4-year-old. I have a 22-year-old and an 18-year-old, and your children are older and you have
30s,
grandkids.
yes.
Yes. And I mean, so it's we decided let's come together because we know that we have something here. We don't know exactly what, but we have developed a program for Dry January. It's a beta program. And we really want to help women who are in that shame cycle, that
Mhm.
detox to retox, that constant conflict, the
Mhm.
chatter in your head, the doubt. I don't drink any different than any of my
Right.
family or my friends, and how am I ever going to have fun again?
Yeah.
That was one for me. How would I ever be able to do this? Or, I mean, let's just go there. How is I going to be able to have sex again without having alcohol? I mean, it was something that was just a part of life.
Exactly. Yeah.
And So,
and I would call it too, it was like my own internal chaos or storm. And then walking away from it, now that we're in such a better place, it's like, I want to say, come as you are, right? Just come as you are, and come join us, and we'll have fun for sure.
Yes.
We have way more fun. Like Amy's, joy on the other side of alcohol pretty much sums it up. And
What's your business name too?
It's mycleanslatecoach.com. So it's, and that's where you can find me. But my big thing, and I'll just tell a quick thing, is why my clean slate? Well, I would tell my patients, with 30 years of hygiene, they would come in with like guilt and shame, and the eyes are a window to your soul, but your mouth is a window to the rest of your body. And when you would come in, you could see where they're holding pain, or there would be inflammation. And it was just an external sign of something that's internal going on. And I would tell the patients that I'm just going to give you a clean slate, right? So they could remove literally the stain from their lives and be able to feel whole and fresh again. And I would hear myself tell patients that all the time. And literally there's, a scripture verse that goes, or many of them that go with that, but it's just like bringing everything out. And sometimes we kind of, in our lives, you in a kitchen, so to speak, you just kind of wipe off the counters, right? It's not really clean, but sometimes you've got to get in there and like clean behind the oven and underneath the refrigerator and really do like a deep cleaning to be able to. And this is what this does. It's like, yes, we might be removing the alcohol, but we're shining the light on all the things of why we even got to that place, right?
Yeah.
And so, yes, you're removing the alcohol, but like in what we talk about in day 2, it's all the things that you're going to gain. It's so much more than the things that you're leaving behind, because we've given so much power to that substance that's addictive, and you have the power within you, and it's so incredible. I just can't emphasize that much.
Yeah.
It's I can. It's like, you can tell how excited we get about this.
Yeah. And I'm just going to briefly kind of just describe what we're going to do.
Yes.
In January, most programs are going to start on January 1st. Well, like many of you are like Suzanne and I, we would get to January 1 and be like, oh, we were supposed to start something. So we're looking at, we want to give you just a break. So we're giving you a break of that first week. Just don't even worry about it. We want you to sign up. We're going to have you be able to get in there soon, but we're going to start it on January 8th. But yet, even on January 8th, we're starting with a week pause. And what that pause is, it's going to give us time to get ready, to get a little bit more comfortable with the idea of letting go of alcohol for 30 days. So that's, we want you to, we're going to examine the why. We're going to examine why maybe you're wanting to quit. We're going to examine what alcohol, how it's making you feel. And we really, all along this, we are going to be focusing on what you're gaining and what you're not, giving up, because we're coming from a point of abundance and not a point of deprivation. We want to get away from all of that willpower, and we want to bring you in and have you feel good about this. We don't want to do a 30-day where we're white knuckling it and we're like, oh, I can't wait for the end of this. Then I get my wine or I get my beer or whatever. We want to take this and we want you to learn. We want you to gain some knowledge. And we want this to all be positive. We want it to be emotionally something that, yes, I might not necessarily at the beginning be enjoying this, but at least I'm going in with curiosity to see what this is all about.
Right. And it's not a forever thing. I mean, we don't ever use the shoulds or woulds or coulds or the forever. It's not it's just an experiment. It's
Yep.
just a
Yep.
time to be aware
Yep.
of some of the facts, some of the science, which some people really love to know about that. And it's not putting a label on anything of anything being right or wrong. It's just just a fun sense of community, and to get together and bring questions, bring all. If we don't have the answer, we'll certainly dig in and find one for you.
Mhm.
And yeah, just be open to learning something new, and
Yeah.
to meeting new friends too.
And having that sense of community, I think for both of us, knowing that we weren't alone, knowing that we weren't
Yeah.
alone. And I guess I probably should tell you what we're going to call this. It's called the Alcohol-Free Spirit Experiment. And it is a 6-week program. We're starting with a pause. Weeks 2 through 5 is where we're going to do that deep dive, where we're going to send you a video teaching and an email, journal prompts every day. And then week 6 is, we're going to basically talk about the next steps. We're going to talk about moderation if that's something that you want to do. We're going to talk about the next steps if you decide you want to just let alcohol, let's release it, not forever, but for right now, and just continue on. Because I know for me, and I still say this, I do firmly believe what Annie Grace, what we learned through This Naked Mind is that I can have a drink whenever I want to. I just haven't wanted to have a drink for now almost 1,000 days, which is exciting. I mean, I just letting go of that. And you're right there too. So
yeah, I the big word that always comes to mind when we describe that, because it's hard to explain, but I just literally do not desire it. I mean, we were at a social occasion last night, and it's everywhere and all that kind of stuff. And there's nothing in me that wants any of that now. But I love all my friends, and I have lots of friends and family that still drink. So there's never any judgment, but it's just not something that I no longer desire. And that is such a beautiful gift for sure.
freedom.
And yeah, so.
Well, I'm just going to talk also. And one of the things that it separates, us as well, this program, is we are really jamming this full of information. You're going to get those daily videos. We're going to do a Facebook Zoom, or not Facebook Zoom. We're going to do a Zoom group coaching call. There's going to be 6 of those. We're going to do, basically, I put, in here bi-weekly check-ins, but we're going to be in there daily, in that Facebook group talking with you. We're also, the big key for us, there were a few things that we wanted to add in here. We wanted to do a Monday motivation.
Yeah.
We wanted to do a Friday happier hour to kind of just, let's have fun. Let's do some NA drinks. Let's, let's keep the ritual and replace the ingredients.
Yes.
And then we're going to do a weekly faith talk. We're going to, we're going to get together, you and I, and do a Facebook Live, answer questions. Let's dig deep into this.
Yeah.
So that
and bring your friends. It's fun to do this with someone else. Not only are you going to meet new people, but bring your friends to come and do just, a fun challenge to, kind of do something together. And we are we are just so committed to this being an experience that you are going to look on regardless of what whether you take a break or you don't take a break, that you're going to be able to look back at this, alcohol-free spirit experiment and be able to look back and say, I am so glad I did that. I learned something. I realized something different about myself, and I am showing up to be, all that God intended me to be. And just, I really do. I mean, that's really what we're coming from our heart, that it's so much more about just the alcohol in a sense, right? We're not giving that the power. We're we're doing it together and we're doing it for you.
Yeah, I love it. I'm so excited about this. We are going to be basing the information in here on the alcohol experiment book. The author is Annie Grace. That's where we got our training through the This Naked Mind Institute. You can purchase the audio or the paperback and follow along, but you don't have to, because we're going to be sending you content every day. So there's a lot of information that you're going to get. We have this set up to sell at $2.99, and that is less than a bottle of wine a day. I figured it up.
Wow, you did the math, Amy.
I did the math, and I am a comm major, and so I don't usually do math, but I think I got that right. I want to also reiterate, this is real self-care. And then finally on this, we're doing a $100 off if you get signed up by January 1st. And I will tell you, we will have the show notes. You can reach out to me. We are working on our sales page, talking about tech not quite being ready. And if it should be by the time this goes, well, maybe not, because this is this week. Right?
Why can't it be? It can be. It will be.
It will be. It'll be
tech
ready.
master.
And you know what? If you go out there and it's not there quite yet,
don't be surprised.
Give us some grace. Send us an email. I've got my email in the show notes. Send it. I'll get you on the list. We will, as soon as the sign up and everything drops, we will send that information to you. But we're really excited about it. I love the idea of bringing a friend.
And I can't think of a better way to start your year off, right? Yeah. I mean, seriously, there's just so much goodness that comes from that. And start with a clean slate, start with some joy, start fresh. It'll be fun.
They'll have access to the content, right?
They're going to have access to the content.
So if they want to refresh and DIY it the next month, they could do that too, right?
That's a good idea. Yeah.
I will tell you. Yeah. Well, I think we're not going to get rid of that Facebook page. We're going to continue doing that. I will tell you, Suzanne and I have been working hard on this. We have been working hard. We have been putting together videos.
It's a real program, I would say.
It is a real program, people.
Thanks, man.
We're really excited about it. And I can't wait to share this out with everybody. And so if you're listening to us today and you're like, yeah, what? This isn't for me, but I know somebody who might actually want to do this, pass it on. I mean, because I'll say honestly, this really is a program for women.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. So if we have one of our guy listeners who's sitting there going, hey, I'm interested in this, but I don't really fit in this, we can help you out with that too. We can absolutely we can put you into something else. But
no, Matt's not starting his own group. Sorry, but not qualified for that. But we know people who are.
Yes, you are.
You could be. And so we just want you to know that we can do that, but pass it on to a friend, a family member, anybody. But again, bring a friend. You're not alone. I think that's the biggest thing. And when you know that you're not alone, and I can't even tell you, like the first time that I signed on to that Marco Polo group,
yes,
and knew that I was not alone, I can just remember going, just the tension and everything being released.
And there's no labels too. I just want people to feel super safe, because I was really funny about well, if I sign on to this, will it be blasted into my Facebook that I have a problem? No, that's not, no. It's nothing private. Like that. You are not, walking into a meeting or saying that you're labeled. I did my break for health purposes. My goodness, I, do take vitamins like no tomorrow and, run and train and do all of these things. Why was I doing this? Right. So I was doing it for health purposes. And then I realized that was so much more. So it's safe, it's fun, it's comfortable, it's inviting. Why not?
Yeah. So like I said, we are really, really excited. And also if you, everyone who does sign up is going to end up getting, put in also for a drawing, for, the book Intoxicated Lies. So,
that's exciting.
Yes. She, Meg was so kind. She's going to send us some copies as well. And
I love that.
who knows, maybe we can get her to come in and join us for a call or something. But I just think just letting people know that you're just going to gain information.
Oh yeah.
Information. And I know for me, information was key. Information, you just said it, health reasons. When about day, I don't know, 12, when I woke up and I wasn't feeling that sick and tired feeling.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, yes, this actually.
And sleep better.
Yes.
And you don't have to do this program to say you're going to quit forever.
Nope.
When I did it, not your program, obviously, but when I did it, I had no intent. I'm like, all right, I'll do the 30 days and whatever. And
that was us.
Yeah, that was me too.
Yep. Moderation.
You try it and you don't like it and you go back, whatever. But you learn something, maybe you've adjusted how you drink or how you think or whatever,
Yep. And everybody's journey is different.
Yep.
I mean, I've known so many people who have said, you know what, I did the alcohol experiment one time and then I came back, a few months later and did it again. And then just decided, I think this is something I want to do. So, it's everyone is different and it's just a personal journey. So, and that's one of the things we just want to let people know. Judgment free.
Yeah.
Judgment free. We know what it's like. We've been there.
We live in a glass house, don't throw stones.
And we want to get rid of that feeling of shame as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one thing that I really want to share is, when we go through these experiences, we're sharing your story. We've shared our stories, being able to do that. And I now look, my perspective has shifted so much so that now I look back at this story and I can say, oh my gosh, I wouldn't be able to help people if I didn't go through this.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And
there's definitely that reason. I agree.
And that's why we're doing this, because we are called to share our stories and be with people and to share this joy and to make a clean slate. I love this. This is just so exciting and so much fun. I'm just so I'm so blessed that you're a friend of mine.
I know, it'll be fun.
So
and the whole coaching thing, if people aren't familiar with that, it is like taking you where you are and, you feel like there's like those hurdles or obstacles and we just get kind of stuck in life. It's like removing those things. It is the coolest thing. I always felt like when I was kind of trying to figure stuff out on my own, I was like at this little rowboat, like a dinghy with a hole in it. I'm just trying to shovel out the water and you get into the coaching experience. And I mean, Amy and I, she's, we've been able to even coach each other through things. And it is like taking a jet plane and getting to where you want to be. I mean, it is just such a cool experience. So if you don't know what that is and haven't heard about it, it's cool too.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. And you're going to meet, I know everything happens for a reason. Yeah. I always just, all the different people I have met, all the connections, it happens for a reason. So you don't even know right now who some of your really good friends are.
Yeah.
And being able to come to a group and be able to talk to people because there's other people around you who just maybe don't want to hear about this. Or maybe you're not comfortable talking about this with them because you're scared again of that rejection and feeling shame. you just don't have it. You come into this and you're like, it's just so freeing. So we just want you to join us. And I'm so excited, Suzanne, that you came on our show with us today. And you're going to be on here again. We're going to talk about other things as we go along on this journey. And I will just say one thing. Suzanne knows so much about your brain. I'm just going to say that right now.
That's my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I've learned stuff. You have pointed me in the right direction. So we're going to be talking about a lot about that as well. So
All right, I get the last question.
All right, go ahead.
What's your favorite NA drink of the week?
Oh, okay. So I have to go with one that was the first drink that my husband ever ordered me when we met in a restaurant bar, and somebody had ordered us tequilas lined in front of me and my girlfriend that were there. He stopped after work with a buddy, and he sat down next to me and he goes, "Are you driving?" And he ordered a club soda and lime, and that is still my go-to drink because he took my car keys and it was the first words my husband ever said to me. So what an odd way to say that's my go-to drink, but it is. And it's still my favorite all the time. But if I were to fancy it up, I would do, living here in, Arizona, I have to say a alcohol-free margarita, not too sweet though, more with the soda water. And so I get to, if I could pick two, those are my two.
Awesome.
Nice.
I love it. I love it. All right, Suzanne, we will be talking with you
Amy.
soon.
Well, thank you, Suzanne, and I guess Coach Amy for that matter, for that awesome interview. Love learning about Suzanne, love learning about your program, and we also learned in the break while that interview was going on, it's lycopene. Tomatoes have lycopene, kids.
You know what? We could do like a trivia thing. Like, what do Red Boy and Coach Amy mess up?
Words.
Like
Big
words.
Science. Com majors, not science.
No, we're super excited about this upcoming year. I think it's going to be amazing. So
go to thealcoholfreespirits.com.
Yep. Or you can reach out to Amy at Joy on the Other Side Coaching for more information. But it's all going to be out there for you. And so, again, bring a friend and just come and have fun with us this January.
All right. Well, there you go, kids. Sign up at thealcoholfreespirit.com. Always subscribe, like, and share our podcast, of course. But in the meantime, wishing you a Matt's happy birthday week.
Happy birthday week.
And we will see you next week, kids. Wishing you peace and love from the cornfields. I'm Matt Long with Coach Amy, and we are
out.